Hey Footy fan, thought I'd spruce myself up for this video because it's time for Isaac's AFL 2024 predictions. Last year, we had the Pies win the grand final, and I'm not sure about you guys. I'm pretty sure some of you might be in the same boat, but the week after, or maybe even the day after, you say, gee, that season was good. And then the next thing you say is, gee, I want footy back. I want footy back. Gee, start that countdown. Well, luckily, it's under 30 days away for the 2024 AFL season. And let's get straight into my predictions. Starting off with the ladder. I'll go from first straight through to 18th. And starting off with the top, I think the Brisbane Lions will finish on top of the ladder. Last year, going into 2023, I had them in 9th. I said they'd miss out on finals. Well, gee, they shoved that in my face, didn't they? Because they made it right to the big dance and nearly got their hands on that premiership. The Brisbane Lions, I thought they'd be lost out of the jungle. I thought, at the Gabba, they're very strong. They go so well at home. And on the road was my concern for them. But they kept up those great performances. They've got a lot of talent who stepped up on a consistent basis. And I think they'll continue that in 2024. In second spot, not far off them, I've got the reigning premiers in the Collingwood Football Club. What a highlight reel they put together for us last year. Even if you weren't a Collingwood fan, you just needed to stand up and applaud at times the brilliant football that they delivered. Could they go back to back? I don't think so. It's very tough to do, but they'll definitely be in finals contention and in that top four. In third spot, I've got the Carlton Football Club. I'm really keen to see the Blue Baggers have a very nice season. We look at last year when they had their rough patch, when their fans got flustered. And then to see Michael Voss and this Blues team have that mindset and mentality to push forward, to turn things around and to give 110%. They started to build up a winning streak. They started to have just some great results, and we saw their efforts in that second half of the season and in finals as well, and it was absolutely brilliant. So I think they can really feed off that, the Blues, and take their game to the next level. In fourth spot, I've got the Sydney Swans. I think, the Swans can have an exciting season with players like Brodie Grundy, Peter Laddams and Taylor Adams, especially their ruckmen like Laddams and Grundy. I think they can serve it up on a silver platter for those ball magnets like Errol Goulden, Callum Mills, Nick Blakey off halfback. And I think it's going to be interesting to see Grundy and Laddams, if they do have a rotation, or if they alternate, maybe one of them goes forward. That'd be interesting to see. I think it might work. My real question for the Swans is, where are they going to get their goals from on a consistent basis? Who's going to step up? And I'm really hoping players like Logan McDonald and Joel Amartey do, and kick a few goals every game. They've also got players like Isaac Heaney, Ollie Florent, who can score the odd goal here or there, and who doesn't love Tom Papley kicking a bag of goals? Or even better, the goal celebrations, I should say, from Tom Papley. And I'm looking forward to seeing them in 2024. In fifth spot, I think Ken Hinkley and his power will definitely be in finals once again. In sixth spot, the Melbourne Demons, I think will have a rollercoaster season with up and downs. They've had a few issues off the field, a few players needing to get to, fitness level for this season. And I think when you have those issues off the field, they can become a bit of a disturbance throughout the season. Hopefully it's not. I do have a bit of a soft spot for the D's and wishing them all the best for this season. Last year they went out in straight sets in the finals. Hopefully not again. Look, I think they'll definitely be in the top 8, but I think it's going to be a year with hurdles for the Demons. In seventh spot, my dark horse for this year is the Hawthorn Football Club. Really looking forward to seeing the Hawks. They regain a player like Mitch Lewis. They've signed a player like Massimo D'Ambrosio. They're a team with young talent, and the effort's there. I love the efforts by the Hawks. I know they'll need a lot more wins than they got last year, but I think they might be a team on the rise for 2024. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish their head coach, Mitch Lewis, all the best with his recovery after he had some health issues in the off-season. And hopefully Mitch Lewis can return to the coach's box as soon as possible. In eighth spot, I've got the Giants. Adam Kingsley and this team, they fly under the radar. They're a team, when you look at the results, you go, oh, gee, the Giants are starting to pick up some good form. Gee, the Giants are moving up the ladder. Oh, gee, the Giants are in the finals and they came oh so close to making the grand final last year. They're a team who not a lot of people talk about, and it's because their players just do everything right and they don't need to be talked about a lot in the media, because they do their job and they get out there and they should be talked about a lot. Players like Tom Green, players like Toby Green, they've just got Callum Brown as well. They've got a variety of players who chip in on a consistent basis, and we definitely saw that last year as they were a dark horse in that finals race and they showed a lot of fight. I would not be surprised if the Giants finished above 8th spot and maybe in the top 4, but I've got them in 8th spot for my predictions. In 9th spot, I've got Damien Hardwick and his Gold Coast Suns. They've got some talent, especially in that midfield. They can provide a bit of run going forward, and they've got a good variety of players. So I think the Suns, a new coach, a few new game plans, and, maybe a new position on the ladder, which is above that 13th area. So hopefully they finish in 9th spot. In 10th spot, some of you may disagree with me when I say this, but I've got the Adelaide Crows in 10th. They just missed out on finals last year, when they should have made finals probably. I know the Crows have got the talent, and I know they'll get the wins and have a really nice season, but I do have them in 10th, as I think 10th spot to 7th spot might be quite congested. So unfortunately, I think the Crows might miss out again and finish in 10th. In 11th spot, I've got the Richmond Tigers, new head coach Adam Uze. Look, I don't think the Tigers will make the 8, obviously. I don't think they'll have the best of seasons, but I think they still have the talent like Dustin Martin and, Jacob Hopper and Tim Taranto and Shai Bolton to manufacture a few wins. I know there'll be quite a few losses along the way, but I still think Richmond can finish in 11th and have a balanced season. In 12th spot, I've got the Western Bulldogs. Look, it could be a season where the Doggies go really well, or it could be an absolute disaster for them. We've seen it in the past. They've got the talent, the likes of Bontempelli, Liberatore, Hugo Hagen, Cody Waitman. I could name the whole list right now. They're a great team, but they don't show up on a consistent basis. And the main thing for the Bulldogs is they play a couple great quarters of football where they're up by 4 or 6 goals, and then they completely lose control of the game. They can't close the games out well, and they let the opposition back in. So I think the Bulldogs, if they do have a poor season, I do think we see Luke Beveridge, part ways with the Doggies, whether that be mid-season or at the end of the season. And that'd be unfortunate, but maybe it's for the best. In 13th spot, I'm not the biggest believer in them, but I've got the Essendon Football Club. I know they had players like Kyle Langford and, Jai Menzies and a few others score some goals and really have a good season last year. We were a bit surprised seeing them in the top 8 straight away, weren't we? But I do have the Bombers in 13th. I just feel like they're a bit of an unpredictable team. In 14th spot, I've got the St Kilda Football Club. I'm looking forward to seeing Bradley Hill, Wanganeen Millera and Fresh Blood at the Saints, Liam Henry, really run the field. They're full of speed, these players. They can move the ball quickly by hand. But I just don't see it happening for the Saints. What I saw last year in that game against the Roos at Marvel Stadium, there was a game where they did win, the Saints, but it was a scrappy win. It was a game where they had opportunity after opportunity and they just couldn't click as a team, and it was a bit concerning. And I know it might be a bit harsh and, reflecting on one game, but I just don't see it happening for the Saints this year. Look, they could prove me wrong, but for now I've got them finishing in 14th spot. In 15th spot, it might be a hopeful cry, but I've got my Roo boys. Look, we're probably going to need 8 or more wins. I think getting Zach Fisher in, providing that run on the wing, and maybe in the midfield as well, hitting up players like Nick Larkey and a few others in the forward line. Come on, Roos. Hopefully it's a full year with Alistair Clarkson in the coach's box. Hopefully we can start a winning culture at Arden Street and climb up that ladder and, start that new era. Come on, Roo boys. I've got faith in you and I'm wishing you all the best for 2024. In 16th spot, I've got the Geelong Cats. I just think they'll drop even further. We didn't see the best of years from them last year, and a bit of the old wood might need to get cleared out and a fresh start for them. In 17th spot, I've got the West Coast Eagles. Hopefully they can pick themselves up from the bottom of the ladder just slightly and move into 17th, and in the coming years maybe move their way back up the ladder. Looking forward to seeing Harley Reid. Players like Oscar Allen and a few others had a few games together last year and they started to pick up some slight good form, especially late in the year. But, they had so many changes to their lineups nearly every game. It was very hard for the team to gel and get going. In 18th spot for the Wooden Spoon, it might seem, a bit of a big call, but I've got the Fremantle Dockers. They had the talent last year. I didn't see it from them, and it was concerning. And they lose a key player like Lockie Schultz. They lose a key player also like Liam Henry. And I think that's, that's going to really break their puzzle a bit. And I just don't see it happening from the Fremantle Dockers. And if that's the case, I think we might see Justin Longmuir with his coaching position in contention, maybe to part ways with the club. Now it's time for the Premiership. Who lifts that cup? I've got the Brisbane Lions to defeat the Carlton Football Club in the grand final. So Brisbane to be premiers in 2024. Or my wild card for the Premiership is a Carlton and Sydney Swans grand final. The last time that happened was in 1945. There's one for the history books, folks. I know it's a massive wild card and it probably won't happen, but I'm just chucking it out there because it's due to be something to see, wouldn't it? Now it's time for the Coleman medal predictions. Nick Larkey, he had 71 goals last season, finishing third. He's got a couple great teammates around him who can really hit him up on the lead. It'd be great to see Nick Larkey with that Coleman medal around his neck, and I'm wishing him all the best for 2024 because I was really impressed with his season last year. Other players who are a good contender for the Coleman, Joe Danaher. I think the Lions can have a few more high-scoring games, really feed Joe inside 50 and he can kick a couple bags, or Joe, you can actually get him maybe from 55 or 60 out when he winds up on that left boot. So hopefully Joe Danaher has a good year and he's accurate in front of the two big sticks, because last year he missed a couple crucial ones in front of goal from very close range, which he was surprised himself. But let's move on and hopefully he gets them straight through the two middle sticks in 2024. My smoky for the Coleman, I think it's an alright smoky for the Coleman. Mitch Lewis from the Hawthorn Football Club. The injuries got in his way last season. In 2022, he had 37 goals. He wasn't far off Nick Larkey that year, who had 38. The next season, Nick Larkey had 71, so you never know. These players could have a breakout year and climb up that Coleman race just like that. My rising star, pick number 4 from the Roos, Zane Dersma. Hopefully he can replicate what Harry Sheezel did last year. I think he can look up to Harry Sheezel as a role model, follow in his footsteps, and play a crucial part in this North Melbourne team for 2024. If it's not Zane Dersma, I'm looking forward to seeing pick number 6, Riley Sanders from the Western Bulldogs. Seen his highlight package. He's all right. He moves with the ball really well, and I think he can be a nice fit for this Bulldogs team. Now it's time for the Brownlow medal. Who takes that medal home at the end of the year? We've seen some greats in the past, and I think Nick Dacos will get it this year. He should have probably won it last year, and I think a few of you would agree with me. I think if he stays fit and healthy with no injury, he's definitely in the top 2 finish. He's run off half-back, but also the transition that we saw from him in the midfield last year was absolutely brilliant. He's been an impactful player in such a solid team, and it's on a consistent basis, and at such a young age, it's just extraordinary to see what he's achieved so early in his career. So all the best to Nick Dacos. I think he can win the Brownlow medal. If not Nick Dacos, Sam Walsh, a great user with the ball in hand. The commitment he shows is brilliant, and the link-up plays that he does is absolutely sensational. He gets the 30 disposals here and there. He gets the goals, the tackles. He's a pressure machine at times. Hopefully the injuries stay away from him this year and he's a standout for the Blues. Now, I know it's tough for Sam Walsh getting the votes, having players like Patrick Cripps and Adam Chera and a few others around him, but I think he can be the standout and the rock for the Carlton Football Club this year. Sam Walsh, he could be the highlight of a potential premiership year for the Blues, or they could come close to it, that's for sure. My smoky for the Brownlow medal, I think I had this a couple of years back. It's Touk Miller from the Gold Coast Suns. Now, I think Touk Miller, injuries really stopped him last year, and I think really put a bit of a bump in the Gold Coast Suns season, especially early on. I think Touk Miller, him being in the Brownlow medal contentions and being that top 5 finish maybe, does rely on if the Suns can get the wins. We've seen it in the past. Your team gets the win, your player has a great game, you're usually going to get the 3 votes. So hopefully Touk Miller can have a great season, and the Suns as well, and he can be a bit of a smoky for the Brownlow medal. Folks, there's my predictions. Drop your predictions in the comments. It's going to be another fantastic season of football, and it starts on the 7th of March when the Melbourne Demons take on the Sydney Swans at the SCG. We've got this new thing called opening round where a handful of teams play. Do you agree with it? Gee, I would have just preferred round one, the Tigers and the Blues at the MCG. Well, I guess I have to wait a week. But the sooner footy's back, the better. So I'm not really complaining, that's for sure. As always, you gotta love footy. If you liked that video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below your AFL 2024 predictions, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'd like to see more of my content on Isaac's Recaps, make sure to follow my Facebook page and also my Instagram page. That'd be much appreciated.